On the gilded turf of the Santiago Bernabéu, history doesn't just watch, it weighs, it suffocates. For decades, the sacred white shirt of Real Madrid has broken men, not built them. The transfer fee, the spotlight, the sheer gravitational pull of expectation is an unbearable burden. But in the summer of 2023, the weight of the entire club was placed on the shoulders of a 20-year-old kid from Birmingham. A kid who, in a move that defied tradition, that seemed almost arrogant, chose the single most cursed number in Madrid's modern history. Not the coveted number 10, not a safe, low digit. He chose the number 5, the Zidane number. The jersey that, since the French legend retired, had been a symbol of midfield artistry and commanding grace. But for every player who tried to wear it after Zizou, it became a straitjacket. Fabio Cannavaro, Fernando Gago, Nouri Sahin, all great players, all failed to capture the magic. The common consensus was clear. Jude Bellingham was a generational talent, yes, but he was a midfielder, a box-to-box engine. The $110 million question wasn't if he was good, it was, could he survive the pressure, the system, and the mythos of the number 5? The untold truth: Jude Bellingham didn't just survive the pressure of the number 5, he inverted it. He didn't just meet expectations, he fundamentally rewrote the tactical blueprint of the greatest club in the world. He came to be a midfielder, but he became their messiah. This is the story of how a teenager became the single biggest hope for Real Madrid's dynasty and the radical, almost accidental tactical shift that unleashed the miracle season. Number 1. The 103 million question, a midfield in crisis. The decision to sign Jude Bellingham wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. Real Madrid's legendary midfield triumvirate, Kroos, Modric, Casemiro, was finally inevitably reaching its conclusion. Casemiro was gone. Luka Modric and Toni Kroos were still brilliant, but they couldn't possibly carry the load for an entire season. The club had already invested heavily in the next generation, Eduardo Camavinga and Aurélien Tchouaméni. Excellent dynamic players, but structurally, they were defensive and industrious. They were the platform, not the fireworks. The popular narrative was that Real Madrid needed to transition slowly, blooding the new generation while the veterans managed the play. Bellingham was viewed as the final piece of the midfield puzzle, the engine, the box-to-box runner who would link defense to attack, a dynamic number 8. But Real Madrid, and particularly manager Carlo Ancelotti, understood a deeper, more urgent truth. They weren't missing an 8, they were missing a goal scorer. After Karim Benzema's sudden departure, the attack was a vacuum. Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. were devastating wingers, but who would occupy the center? Who would inherit the 25-plus goals a season? The answer, shockingly, would be the new number 5. Ancelotti didn't sign Bellingham to play like Zidane or even Modric. He signed him to be the ghost in the machine. Number 2. The tactical inversion, unlocking the false 10. The tactical framework Ancelotti deployed was a masterstroke of adaptation. He shifted from the classic 4-3-3 formation to a fluid 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-3-1-2, and everything hinged on Bellingham. In this formation, Bellingham was deployed as the attacking midfielder, AM, or what many analysts have called the false 10 or attacking 8, a position of complete tactical freedom. Critics saw this as risky. Bellingham's best years in Dortmund were spent controlling the tempo deeper as a true box-to-box midfielder. Pushing him higher would dilute his influence, reduce his defensive contribution, and expose Real Madrid's already thin midfield pivot. The question was Ancelotti sacrificing defensive stability for a desperate goal-scoring gamble? The stats tell a story of an unparalleled evolution. Bellingham's success was not a gamble. It was a calculated deconstruction of the traditional midfield role. He became a target man in midfield. In 2023-2024, Bellingham's average position was consistently further forward than his fellow midfielders, often occupying the spaces a center forward would. His movement into the box, his late arrival runs, became his signature weapon, the power of the vertical run. He consistently outperformed his expected goals, IXG, metrics for a midfielder, displaying a lethal finishing rate. His touches inside the opposition box skyrocketed. This wasn't a midfielder shooting from distance. This was a midfielder acting as an elite center forward. Ancelotti's genius was realizing that Bellingham's unique blend of midfield vision, physical strength, and striker's instinct made him uniquely suited to exploit the single biggest weakness in European football, the space between the opposition's midfield and defensive lines. He was the perfect solution to the Benzema problem, not by replacing his skill set. Number 3. The Clásicos and the clutch factor, the birth of a legend. In Madrid, a great season means nothing. A trophy means everything. And within a season, there is only one true measure of a player's legacy: El Clásico. Bellingham's miracle season was crystallized not over 38 games, but in one single seismic moment that changed the entire power dynamic of Spanish football. Entering his first Clásico at the Olympic Stadium, the pressure was immense. Barcelona were leading the table. Madrid had stumbled in a few games. The narrative was that Bellingham, while sensational against smaller teams, might fold in the cauldron of the biggest rivalry. Could a 20-year-old be the difference maker in a title-defining match against the reigning champions? The $110 million volley. In the 68th minute, with Madrid trailing 1-0, the ball rolled out to him 30 yards from goal. What followed was a moment of sheer, audacious brilliance. Bellingham didn't look for a pass. He didn't try to control. He struck the ball with the outside of his boot, a thunderous, flat volley that screamed past the goalkeeper, redefining his profile from midfielder to match winner. But he wasn't done. Deep into stoppage time, the score tied at 1-1. A scramble in the box saw the ball fall to him. He was faster, sharper, and more ruthless than any defender. He ghosted in, scored the winner, and produced the celebration that would become an iconic image, arms outstretched, claiming his territory. That wasn't just 2 goals, that was a statement. It was the moment the world watched Jude Bellingham stop being a star and start becoming a legend. He repeated the trick later in the season. Another late goal, another Clásico victory. This clutch factor, the ability to deliver not just quality but decisive high-stakes victory, is what separates a great Real Madrid player from a Galáctico. In a squad full of European royalty, it was the new English kid who became the definitive closer. He became the man the team looked to in the 85th minute. Number 4. The mentality monster. Beyond the metrics. The most fascinating aspect of Bellingham's success has nothing to do with tactics or statistics. It's his mentality. His presence on the pitch is often described as that of a 30-year-old captain, not a newly arrived 20-year-old. The fear for any young player moving to a club of Real Madrid's stature is the dressing room hierarchy. How do you lead when the locker room contains World Cup winners, multiple Champions League victors, and legends like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric? The popular belief was that he would need to defer, to be a sponge, as he himself admitted he intended. Bellingham never deferred. He demanded the ball. He confronted opponents, verbally and physically. His high interception and tackle rates, even in an advanced role, reflected a relentless work ethic and a desire to impose himself defensively. He was the first to berate a lazy teammate and the first to embrace a struggling one. His emotional, almost primal celebrations, the intense stare, the raw passion, resonated deeply with the Bernabeu faithful, who craved that unique blend of technical genius and aggressive, uncompromising pride in the crest. The Zidane homage. Choosing the number 5 was his first act of defiance. It wasn't just admiration, it was a pledge to not fear the legacy, but to add to it. He was not trying to be Zidane, but to prove that the spirit of the number was about commanding the midfield regardless of position. The physical edge, his towering 6'1" frame coupled with his phenomenal stamina, allows him to maintain a two-way game that exhausts opponents. He uses his body to hold off defenders, win aerial duels, and explode into the box. He's a midfielder with the physicality of a defensive end and the touch of a playmaker. This physical dominance is a crucial component of his American-style star power. Number 5. The American Appeal. The perfect post-CR7 Galáctico. For Real Madrid, Jude Bellingham is more than a soccer player. He is a global commercial anchor, perfectly positioned for the massive American market. For over a decade, the Galáctico model was defined by Cristiano Ronaldo. Hyper-professional, goal-obsessed, a singular force of nature. When he left, the club lost its primary source of global marketing oxygen, especially in the US, where individual stardom drives engagement. How could they replace that unique blend of star power and production? Bellingham represents the evolution of the Galáctico. He is not merely a goal scorer, he is a storyteller's dream. He's English. The largest, most engaged demographic of American football viewers are obsessed with the Premier League and the English national team. Bellingham's success acts as a direct bridge for this audience to La Liga and Real Madrid. He's the complete player. His statistical profile, the goals, the assists, the tackles, the aerial duels, quantifies him as the ultimate all-around athlete. This speaks directly to the multi-sport savvy American fan who values versatility and dominance in every facet of the game. He has the offensive flash of a star quarterback and the defensive grit of a linebacker. The aura. He possesses an unshakable swagger and a public persona that is both intensely competitive and genuinely likable. This authenticity, amplified by his on-field leadership, creates a magnetic pull that transcends the tactics board.